the recording.
Hi, Diane.
Are we? You're on.
We're on? We're on. Okay, well, welcome to our final edition of ChamberChat for the year. Hard to believe we have gone through 12 months, man. I don't know where the year went, but I want to start off by thanking my co-host Keith G. He stepped up and has been fabulous this year. We've had a lot of fun and roped him into another year. So yay! So we're doing.
Promised to double my salary. So
I did, yeah. So and some homemade goodies worked, and like all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, we're good. But I hope all of you have appreciated some of the topics that we brought to you this year. We're always looking for new ones. So if there's anything you'd like us to cover, just send us an email or talk to us. We are sometimes scrambling for topics, so. If there's something in particular you'd like us to go over, then just let us know. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get into things. Well, first of all, it is year-end giving. So if you are wondering what to do when need some tax write-offs at the end, the Children's Hunger Project is one of those fabulous organizations that you are able to donate to. We have a lot of them in Brevard County. At last count, there was about 2,500 or something, 1,800, 501c3s, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So you will find a nonprofit that matches what you want to donate to. However, I think the Children's Hunger Project is unique in that it's you guys are trying to. Do you reach every school, or you have quite a?
So we're in 46 elementary schools. There's 55 public elementary schools in Brevard County, but we actually serve some charter and private schools as well. So we're not in every public school yet.
Okay, so that's a lot. Really, if you're living in Brevard County and you're wondering how to support the community, that's awesome. But like I said, there's lots of other organizations, but donate. It's that time of year, it's time to donate. Coming up though, we've got next week, the chamber will be closed. It is, yay! I know we're all like, okay, it's Friday here yet. No, it's, no, this was just one of those, it wasn't planned, but I think, it's just been one of those years and it just, everybody needed a break. So it's good. So we'll be starting off, we'll be open then on the 30th and 31st. And then you've got New Year's Day and we'll be open the Thursday, Friday, and starting back full swing on the 6th of January. So our first luncheon is then the 8th. And we have Lisa Morrell, the city manager from Palm Bay, who will be giving an update on all the development that is going on in Palm Bay. So that'll be very interesting. And that's at Promise in Brevard. So we appreciate them as our new trustee. We also have our board meeting that week. So if anybody is ever interested in coming to those are open. We are always encouraging people to come just to see what it's all about. And if that might be something that they're interested in aspiring to, because, we are always looking for new leadership, and that's the best way to see what's going on. So,
and it's a great group too.
It is a great group. Yes, it's a great board. Our multicultural networking group are meeting on the 15th. It's 5:30 to 7:30, and we actually can announce the location now. PK has a new renovations done at the Holiday Inn. Express and Suites on Malabar Road. So that's 5:30 to 7:30, and we'll have food and drinks, and it will be, I think, a very nice mingle. They want it here again, and we just had our open house on Friday, so we're all kind of exhausted. We went, I don't think we can pull that off. So anyway, we're like, okay, well we'll do it at PK's place, but I think it'll be nice to showcase PK's place because that's their renovation should be all finished by then. So that's going to be great. And then I think, let me look at the date. I think, yes, Friday is the last day that you can do the ballot to get in for the joint Brevard County Chambers, that 2020 legislative trip to Tallahassee, because that's the 21st. So if you want the chance to win a free ticket to go, otherwise it's $325, make sure you fill that out. The chamber sent it out in the intel. You can just click on it and get right to it. But that'll be nice going up to Tallahassee. There's a plane load that goes up, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, I think 7 o'clock at night we get back. It's a very long day, but great connections on the plane, and a lot of the community business leaders that go out, and you get to see the legislators up there in person. Last night I did get to see Randy Finey at his open house, so if you're able to see them here locally, you definitely get more time with them, and it's more one-on-one. But going with the group, it's a whole different kind of community. It's nice to go for the community. So the first Chamber Chat of the year is going to have our guest host with Keith G, Diane Bryson, with True Choice Telecom and Telecommunications, and we're very excited to have her come on. And they are going to have a guest with them, Marty Ward, who will be, she's heading off to Africa shortly after that. So I want to get her on before she goes with her Clean Water Initiative. So she'll be on that Chamber Chat. So that's going to be, boy, you're going to be busy that 21st.
That'll be fun.
That will be fun. And then we're back to our regular schedule. So our Marketing and Events Committee meeting is the 23rd, and our BBP is still happening at the Riverview Senior Resort Living. And then the reason why we're doing this Chamber Chat and January's is to get you guys prepared for a Jumpstart the New Year with the Speed Networking. That's on January 30th. We haven't had one, I think it's about 2 years now. Everybody loves them. We're doing a shout out to Don Beavers with Probability and Statistics. I tried to do the rotation myself last time, did not work out very well. So we're getting somebody with the math degree that can actually come up with that, do the algorithm. And so I think that is going to be fabulous. And we'll let you know the location. We've got a call out, but I haven't got confirmation, but that's going to be on the 30th. So really, it's going to be a busy January. So get your calendars all set up, and you can go on our website and see all of that. If you want more exposure, there's definitely a lot of sponsorship opportunities. Every event really does allow exposure for your business where you can have podium time, tabletop. So check that out. Cindy is more than happy to sit with anybody or myself and go over some of the sponsorships that we have coming up. And I know that I would be remiss if I did not give a plug for our Palm Bay. Okay, my hands are in the way. Sorry, Keith.
I'm really not involved in this.
So this is our Palm Bay firefighters calendars, and yes, they are all Palm Bay firefighters. Here's some more pictures on the back. There's a ladies month as well. But all the proceeds are going to the candlelighters. It's $20. And it really is a beautiful calendar. And it was actually one of the firemen that took all the pictures. So he is this fellow. I don't know how to say that.
Acevedo.
Okay, there you go. So Lovely by Keith G. So he took the photos. I'm thinking if I can get him to do headshots for everybody, because man, those guys look awesome. So that is the calendars. Will be open until Friday, and then, well, if you want them for Christmas stocking stuffer, you need to be here by Friday at 5. And then the other thing I kind of wanted to go over, our business director and community guide for 2020. You need to get your ads in now. We are getting close to closing that off. So every member will get a free listing in there if you're a member in good standing by December 31st. But if you have not become a member and want to be included, December is the time to do it. Also, we are having a price increase come January, so it's a good time to get in there. And we wanted to talk a little bit too from the luncheon before we get into it. I know I'm rambling here, but we had some really cool, I don't know, we did some research on the Chamber of how our year was, because we really did a year in review, and I think some of the numbers were really surprising. So as you can see behind us, our mission is to serve, advocate, and promote as the trusted voice for our business community. And one of the things that I think a lot of people hear the statistics that within 5 years, 84% of new businesses will close. And so we're trying to alleviate that. We want that number to go down. So most businesses say word of mouth referrals are the best way for them to get local business. And that's what the Chamber can really assist with. And so this year we've had 94 new partners already. Man, we need 6 more to hit 100 if we can get that in the next few days. But so that would be awesome. We've had like a 14% increase over last year. Our traffic to our website, our search engine traffic, is 263,000. Yeah, 263,000
Wow.
views, page views. So, and that comes mostly from local residents who are looking for products and services. So if you're looking for local, customers, the Chamber certainly helps with that. And we definitely recommend the keywords because a lot of people do not fill in their profile. So you need to get the keywords in there. They certainly help with search engine optimization. And we wonder why we're tired. We had 146 meetings and events over the course of the year. We posted 93 of those events on our Facebook page. They reached 41,600 people. So if you're wondering, hey, should maybe I do have the Chamber send out some Facebook posts for us? Yeah, yeah, you should. And then we did some top 5. So I'll just repeat these again because they were kind of fun. So our longest members with the Chamber was Sutton Properties, the old PIP Printing, which is now Print Depot, Waste Management, the Home Builders and Contractors Association of Brevard, and Badcock Furniture and more. So that was kind of cool. Our 5 most engaged members, as our Chamber Master shows us, is the City of Palm Bay, our largest trustee. Seniors Helping Seniors with Jennifer Helen, EverythingBrevard.com with our chairwoman Tracy Stoddard, Aging Matters, and Morse Communications with Dominic Paz. He's like one of our raving cheerleaders, so we love him. So he's actually one of our top 5 Facebook raving fans. So Tara Linnell is number 1. We have Janice Fox, Dominic Paz, Greg Quinones, and Tom Macarello. Then our top 5 search hits on our website was, I think, blew me away, was Kathy Poulet of Legal Shields. And I'm sure that's not how you say her last name, but she had 957 hits, Clear Channel 916, Comfort Suites 881, Community Credit Union 880, and Cindy Forstall with Dale Sorensen is 836. Our top 5 member page hits on our website. So the top one was Waste Management. They had almost 1,800 views. Brevard Adult Education 1728. Health First Medical Group 1690. The 2 I like to kind of point out, well, Tomoka Christian Church is over 1,000. FPL 884, Angels for Kids on Call 854, and Marty L. Ward, she had 614, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And our top events with their reach was the Mayor's Breakfast, which is always our signature event, our BVP every month, our Health and Wellness Expo, and then 2 ribbon cuttings, our Simples Relaxation Station, and then, our luncheons, our July and December luncheon, which that December luncheon was quite fabulous.
Yeah,
with the kids singing and Sienna, and yeah, that was really great. We loved that. So those are kind of some of our top things that we had this year. Our Chamber Chat, actually with top views. So we kind of wanted to do shout outs because we appreciate you doing this. So our top video was from the Space Coast Symposium, and that was Dr. Marvin Anjuar. He was talking about drone brain racing, and that really was an interesting one. Not that the other ones aren't, but that was kind of really unique. Then our Chamber Chat with Susan Maza was 354. Our Chamber Chat with Adam Copenhaver, 331. And then our Space Coast Symposium panelist, Mike Newton, on bioprinting. And then our final one was Pakaska for their film festival ribbon cutting. That was so much fun. And then the most viewed videos, CED ribbon cutting. So Keith and I kind of talk about the importance of getting people to your business, but now you can see that having a ribbon cutting can also help you on social media, because when we post videos, 800 people looked at that CED ribbon cutting. So that's pretty amazing. Our Chamber Chat with Keith, we had 772, and the one with Shannon in January was 711. Ricky Buell's ribbon cutting had 880. So it was pretty amazing. And then our Chamber Chat that we talked with Spear and Staffing, Richard Codella, Coelida. I'm right? Coelida? Colada? He owns Sphere on Staffing. Sorry, Richard, and I butchered that one. But his was one of the top 5. So it's been, like I said, a pretty busy year. We've got a lot going on, and we want to prepare you then for our first big event, which is the Jumpstart the New Year. So we're going to talk about really getting your foot in the door, going from making that phone call to closing the sales. So I know your next month you are covering some of the elevator pitches.
Yeah, so in January, we're going to talk about elevator pitches. So you've got 15 seconds with someone to tell them who you are, what you do, and how you can benefit them before they lose interest or walk away. So that elevator pitch is key to being successful in business, because you have to be able to clearly and concisely tell people what you do in that amount of time.
Right.
But today we wanted to talk about how to get to that point.
Right.
Where are you going to meet these people?
Right.
And so I know one of the things we're going to talk about is just like how to position yourself in the community. But I think if I were starting a business today, my first stop would be to the chamber.
Yeah.
There's so much information here.
Yeah.
There's people that can basically walk you through where you need to be,
right,
where you need to be seen, who you need to be talking to.
Right.
They can help connect you with potential vendors that would help your business, but also people that can help you, with marketing or with accounting or things that are going to be part of you running your business that you may not be aware of or really passionate about.
Right. Well, that's true, because often people start their business with what they're passionate about, whether it's plumbing or welding or mechanics or marketing, but that's their niche. And then the rest of it, it's almost like that ad you see for QuickBooks with Danny DeVito. So you've worked all day and now you're trying to chase down people with money. I mean, not your skill set sort of thing. And it's true. So having these other resources to help makes a huge difference. So, so we want to kind of talk about that. And then we want to talk about, where you start. And I don't think that the chamber is the one answer, because I used to belong to a bunch of different chambers. I used to belong to a bunch of different groups. I still belong to other groups. So I think that it's important for everybody to realize that, you don't want to spread yourself so thin that your whole time is being taken up by meetings that aren't productive, or you're just busy, not selling. You're busy, yes. And so a lot of people can do that. And sometimes I know I'm guilty of that. I go to events and you get all kinds of business cards and, I'll follow up. No. And as they say, the fortune's in the follow-up. So it's, kind of making a priority of that. So I think with the chamber, I do other recommendations for different groups to get involved with, along with our chamber, because I do think that there's value in so many other organizations as well. So, so we talk about kind of, how do you reach people to start with? Because you can either target, so they kind of do the fishing analogy with the pole and the net. So you can either throw out the net for a wide, hope for whatever comes in the net, or you can target with the fishing pole so that you're getting more of,
more targeted response.
Right.
Maybe fewer responses, but more targeted. The net's going to get you greater numbers, but probably some.
They're not always qualified prospects.
In there too that you may not want.
Right. Yeah. Some you have to throw back.
Yes.
And so often, I think that's the conventional way, was the net, where you kind of did that shotgun approach. There wasn't really direct consumer calls or anything. It was more, well, I might put an ad here. I might, just give it a whirl. And so people see your logo in that, it's kind of subliminal and stuff, but they're not really, you're kind of in people's minds. So radio is like that, television, some print is like that, because you're trying to reach a broader audience, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's your target audience, but like they say, when you are, let's say, thinking of buying a car, hopefully you'll remember one of those ads that you saw on the TV, radio, or print. Targeting, though, is that you're, like we said, instead of just casting that wide net, you're actually thinking, who would be a great prospect for me? Who is a company that I would like to work with, or a group that would be really beneficial to my business? And so the internet is a way to reach people, because now you can micro target to, you put in income, an area, and all the demographics, and they can just pinpoint that. Even mailers can do that now. Yeah, it's unbelievable what they're able to do. So it's not a lot to implement that, and there's a really should be with it a good ROI, because you are more targeted. Sometimes it is a little bit more expensive that when you are, because sometimes it's cheaper to do a huge mailer than it is a specific mailer. It's just cheaper per thing, but you rather have qualified leads than getting phone calls, and the people have no interest whatsoever, or you get no calls. I think some of the ways that you can look at using the more targeted approach is the pay-per-click. So you're only paying for ones that actually click on your ad. And that's kind of a neat way, because they show some interest because they clicked on it, and then you get the analytics, which is kind of cool too. There's the consumer reviews. So those are ways that everybody kind of says, hey, can you write a review for me? Because people look at those. They really do. And I tend not to, after, hey, can you do a short survey? Yeah, you always say that, and it's 20 minutes long, so usually I'm saying no, but I do try to do some, because I know how important it is to businesses. So writing a review when you have great service. It seems like we're really quick when we're unhappy with people, right? Like I'm gonna write here, let me post that one. But I think when you work with businesses, having that review on there, it is a great way to get impartial, reviews, which help when people are looking for
helps
services.
in your ratings. Yeah. So you're gonna get more clicks. The other thing we've had some success with that is very economical is boosting your posts. So you pay, just a few dollars really, and you can get quite a bit of traction off of especially on Facebook, just paying to boost those posts.
Well, and with that, you can put on how much you're going to pay, so it doesn't go over that, which is nice, because I remember when it first got started and people didn't put that parameter in there, $1,000, and they're like, what? Yeah. So you can put the limit on, what how much you want to advertise. And, that's when it helps to talk to one of those specialists, because I remember Sherry Martin, and she's the social media queen, her and Richard. She said she would go to bed an expert in it, and overnight they changed the analytics and the algorithms, and then, you're kind of starting from scratch. She knew where to look, obviously, so the next day she was right back there. But for most of us, that's not something that we look at,
right?
And so you think that what you've been doing still works. Facebook is probably a huge example. We use that so much, but finding that the posts really aren't getting to the right people because it's not going through the feeds the same way. So yeah, looking at what you're doing is important. And then I think when we go to events and you kind of think, okay, they're somebody I need to follow up. We always suggest have pockets, so that one pocket has your business cards, the other is the one where you're like, hey, these are hot leads, I'm following up with them when I get back. So having a system though to track that, because how do you know what your closing rate is if you don't write down all the people that you meet with and kind of have a conversation or sales, I don't want to say, sales pitch or whatever. Yeah, it is a pitch. If you don't track that, how do you know what your closing rate is? How do you know how many people you have to see in order to make your numbers? And I think a lot of people don't work that way.
Right.
It's like, if you know then that it's not a quick close, because I think a lot of people think, oh, the chamber, yeah, they just joined. No, it can be a very long process, very long process. So they might have to come to a couple of events in a couple of months and then make sure, and then something happens, blah, blah, blah. So if that's how long this process takes, then you have to kind of build in how many people you're going to have to reach and talk to. A restaurant's a different thing, but in a way, then they have to plan, okay, so if they know at certain times their traffic isn't as busy, then they have to plan that. Okay, so what are we going to do in order to build up our traffic, in order to, complete the sale? And they're really, pretty good with cash registers now and all that. They can tell, what's going on at every minute of every day. But then they have to be able to use that information to make changes in their business.
I knew a financial advisor once that his goal was to meet 20 new people every week.
Wow.
And that may not seem like a lot, but it really is. Like, that's 4 new people every day, day after day after day.
So what was his closing rate then? Because if he met them, so he doesn't mean just meeting them. He means actually sitting down and going over.
No, he meant just meeting. And then I think he had a whole other process. And I don't know what his closing rate was, but it was his I think his thought behind that was to get exposure to 20 brand new people every week.
Yeah.
So that of that, some will filter down to become clients and close business. But
because that's usually an industry where trust is huge, and that usually takes a long time to build that up.
Yeah.
Because we do see a number of financial planners that come through the chamber, and you think, well, there's a number of them. So how do you stand out? How do you get that trust? And how does it not take, because it's people's money. That's one of those things. That's not a restaurant $20 meal. This is like your future retirement. And so, you're much more cautious with that. So, wow.
Well, I think that's something that you talked about before too, is being involved in multiple organizations where you're being seen, so that, especially in a county like Brevard County, where it is a close knit community.
It is,
so,
it is, yeah.
I think it's easier to build that trust.
Yeah.
But it's also easier.
Do you think so? Because I've heard people say that we're cliquey.
Yeah.
For newbies, like that, it's hard to. I've heard that from some people.
I can see that it is cliquey, but I think it's easier to build that trust, but it's also it can be easier to.
Oh, definitely easier to lose it.
To lose that trust as well,
yeah. When something goes on, it's like, the grapevine gets going.
You say one thing and it'll come back and haunt you.
Yes, it will. Oh, yeah. That's why I never understand. Like we were talking about Canada before we came on air here, and people have all said, "Oh, you're so nice. Canadians are so nice," and it's sort of like, I think, why is that a bad thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're so nice. Well, you never know.
That used to be a good thing.
I know, right? And I always think, well, everybody's life can change in an instant. And we don't know our futures. And so why would you not want to be nice to everybody?
Right.
It
doesn't cost you anything.
Right. And if that's what people want to say, that I'm nice, okay, I'll take that.
Put that on my gravestone.
Right. Yes. You're nice Nancy. So, but I just kind of, anyway, I do go off on tangents, but I just kind of think, it is a small community in a way. There may be 500 or 600,000 that live here, but it is a small community. And so people change jobs, they change positions. And so I just think that if you treat everybody, it's this WPN philosophy, as if they're the one, because you never know who's going to be that one that you meet that gets you in the door, that makes the contact that you were looking for, that gets you the sale that you were looking for. You don't know who that is. And so if you go with the mindset that whoever you meet, that could be the one that does it. And you're the one for them. If you go with that mindset that let me be the one for others, that's a really giving mindset. So I kind of like that. But So anyway, back to kind of setting up sales and thinking about getting in the door. You have to log and keep track of who you're calling, how many are calling you back, and then how many appointments that you're setting, and then look at how many are made, how many sales are made. And I would even have a script that you're creating, because when we had here that networking, doing their elevator pitch, it was interesting how, and I'm going to give Denny's quote at one of the luncheons, because he said, I've been in this, as just a recap, I've been in this business 30 years in a bunch of different chambers. And I thought, why do I need to go that event? Like really, you think after 30 years, you got your pitch down. And he said, I learned something, and it's made a difference in my pitch.
Huge. Yeah.
Yes. And Carolina even said that, like, we work at the chamber, but, getting succinct and getting people to understand that what we're trying to say. So creating a script and trying it out on people, getting their feedback. I would recommend that for this, the speed networking, because you don't want to be there doing it, 20 times and it could have been tweaked and a whole different message. So I would definitely work on that ahead of time. And then creating your goals, like, so what you're trying to achieve. I think sometimes I always do a budget, and I have, hey, are we on track? Every month we check that. We look at where, we had budgeted things to see how we are performing. Not everybody does that. Which, you'd think that they would, but they don't. I look at cash flow every week. There's certain things I'm looking at to make sure that we're making the numbers, because if you wait till the end of the month even,
could be too late.
Right. Yes. Right. And then by the time you make changes or adapt or think, okay, we need to do something differently, you're already 3 weeks, already sometimes in an issue, especially with small businesses. I think that's one of the toughest things is sometimes cash flow. We actually have a new event this year for traditional and non-traditional funding. So Joan Oncala with the city of Palm Bay had said she had done that before. So we thought, I thought that would be great, because we have a lot of banks in our chambers and credit unions, but sometimes they have to look elsewhere. So I'm thinking Vince Lopresti with SBA loans, and I know she was saying that there's some online ones. There's Angel Networks. I'd love to get them to come out. So we'll have that. That's a little aside, but there are times when businesses get into some cash flow problems, and kind of keeping on top of that. And I love this with the closing ratios. So once you've seen the customer, how often do you close it after that first meeting? And how many does it take in order to make that close, so that and so you can track that weekly.
Sure.
Right? Because if you're not closing the number that you're expecting, you're going to have to see more people.
Right.
So you have to increase your prospect numbers.
And that can be different in different industries.
Yes.
Selling a house, if you sell a house a month, that's probably a good deal. Selling
Right.
cars, if you sell
You
2 or 3, you're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah.
If you're selling widgets, you may need to sell a couple of hundred of them a month
Right.
just to make your quota. So.
Right. Right. And I think finding and keeping track of where leads come from, because we are trying to ask that too with new members. Oh, how did you hear about us? Or, sometimes we know because there's somebody, but sometimes they walk in and, so did somebody refer you, or how did you hear about us? So that we can make sure that the things that are working, we continue to utilize.
Right.
Because you don't want to, reinvent the wheel, and you're doing a lot of things. I kind of had said before, we didn't have a salesperson, and so all of our members were coming from word of mouth and people that we might meet at events and stuff like that. But really, so that really did show the power of word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because we are living proof, and people think, oh, it's a chamber, but we are a small business like any other. Entrepreneurial spirit. We're a nonprofit, a 501c6. So we can really relate to the challenges that small businesses face, because we're in the same type of situation.
Sure.
So I hope everybody has created their budget. We just passed ours here. Yay. That was actually painless. Usually it goes on for months, but no, that was, so we have a very high achieving budget for next year. But I think putting something down. I mean, looking at a rough draft so that it's a guide, and it's a guide for your entire business. And whether you are a sole proprietor or a huge company, budgets keep you on track. They are your steering wheel, and it doesn't mean they can't have changes along the way. Absolutely. I mean, sometimes you after the first month you're
it's a guide more than anything in
Yes.
my mind. Like it's this is what I'm shooting for,
Right.
but things are going to change absolutely by the
Yeah.
month. And when I'm creating my budget, I always try to be very conservative
Me
on the
too.
income
Yeah, me
and
too.
as realistic as I possibly can on the expenses, because
Yes.
in my 30 years of business, it's always just kind of worked out
Mhm.
that way,
Right.
more or less.
Right.
But if you try to get too aggressive with
Yeah.
income, which is easy to do sometimes, it's really easy to fall into that trap, and then all of a sudden your expenses are out numbering your income, and you're in
Right.
trouble.
Right.
And with expenses too, you have to be realistic. Like,
Yes. Yes.
is that copier going to break this year? Probably. So
Right.
go ahead and put it in the budget.
Right.
And if it doesn't, great.
Right.
But
Right.
if it does, at least you're prepared for it.
Well, and planned obsolescence is something that a lot don't do and should do, because with technology changing so quickly, making sure you put in your budget that you're changing out your computer or your copier or, whatever machines that you might use, so that you are not surprised by it's a lovely view. So you're not surprised by that happening. I mean, I think before, even now with depreciation on technology, I mean, I don't even know how many years they give it to. Sometimes by the time you get the model, you're like 5 behind. So it's a whole different ballgame now. But you have to put that in your budget, because if you're a sole proprietor, and that you may need that new telephone and the newest, you swipe card.
Well, and you
squares
need to stay somewhat up to date. Like, and you have to determine what that looks like.
Yes.
But you can't be using a computer system or a phone system from 15 years ago and
Right.
expect that it's going to continue to work forever.
Right.
Because it's just not.
Well, and it's also perception. So then you look
Right.
like, okay, wow, are you guys, I mean, sometimes I feel like, okay, are we that hard up? But no. So, you want to have that appearance too, that you've kind of got it together. And
Rolling stock is a big one too. Like if you've got a vehicle, a fleet of vehicles or a vehicle,
yes,
you need to maintain that. You need to keep up on oil changes and stuff. But then what does that look like?
Right.
If it's got a muffler falling off the back and you're dragging it behind you and it's got your logo on it, that's
Right.
probably not the best image that you want to have for your company.
No, remember the coat hangers and people you tie them around that muffler or tailpipe and stuff, like to keep them on.
Been there.
Yeah. Yeah, cars seem to be a little better than what they used to be. But so then, taking that big budget and then breaking it backwards, sometimes you have to look at what your objective is and then work backwards of what you need to do to get there. And so when you have your budget, then looking at how much you're bringing in per month, per week, what that works out to, so that you can say, okay, in order for me to make this amount this week, these are how many calls I need to make. This is how much I need to close. And if you don't make those numbers, I love Tracy. She goes, oh, well, if I need something new, I just go and sell someone. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's easy. Not. but she does that because she tracks everything like that. And so, you're not surprised. You're not like, oh my goodness, now we're in trouble when you keep your eye on the ball. So that's what we're saying, is to take the time now and really, because it's kind of slowing down at the end of the year, unless you're in retail, I think that to take the time to really plan your year, because this is the time to do it, so that when you get into January, you are ready to go. It's all set. We've been working on that the last few weeks. It was not as calm as I thought it was going to be. I thought, oh, 3 weeks, yeah, we can get all that done. Not so much. But we put it on our calendar to do that, and we have been. So that's been, I think, really helpful. And then I think if you have a team, so if there's more than just one person, bringing everybody to the table and say, hey, is this doable? Because if, as you said, you're always realistic with events and with expenses, and you want to make sure the team agrees, because if you
Getting
think,
buy-in.
yeah, absolutely, and making sure that they think, yeah, that's great, because part of being the leader is to drive the vision forward, have the vision and get people to, see it and, be excited by that and feel like, yeah, they want to be a part of it.
Well, and that's it. I think if they understand what the budget is for this event, they're going to work with you to make it happen.
Right. Right.
Whereas if you just keep the numbers in your head and they don't know, like sometimes it's hard because they think they're doing a good job and they're doing okay, but you're still like half of the budget you need. Well, they're not going to be motivated to do that. But if they feel like they're part of the process, I think that's really a good way to build your team.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that they say with any change, you want to have the buy-in, so include everybody in that, because it often is not successful.
Right.
If well, that's a nice way to put it, right? Not successful if you don't engage the people that are going to be implementing the plan. So you definitely want to make sure that, you've got your buy-in. So I think most people too, like a budget for me it's like, that's my, how am I doing? So when I'm making my numbers, then I know I'm doing okay. And that's my barometer. I don't need somebody telling me, hey, great job. I'm not saying, but it's very nice. But that's, I'm in, can internally, encourage myself. But I need to know what the expectation is. And I think that staff, if there's, obviously more than one in your company, the staff are looking to know what the expectation is too, and what they need to be accountable for. The worst, and we've even had that sometimes where, oh, well, I didn't know I had to do that. Oh, was I supposed to do that? I thought you were doing that. That can cause some problems. People want to know what they're accountable for.
And I think ultimately in business, we're judged on those numbers.
Yes.
We're judged on revenue numbers or expense numbers or both. And I mean, for me, my board looks at that every month, and they're judging me 6 ways to Sunday, because if the money's not coming in, or if the money's going out too fast, we're going to be in trouble.
Right.
So, I have a lot of time invested in making sure that the budget is again realistic, but also moving the organization or the company in the direction that it needs to go.
So how much time do you normally spend on doing your budget?
Like in a month?
No, like when you're
like
putting
creating it? About 5 years. It seems like it.
Yeah, it does.
So what I typically will do is I'll take, since we're an established company, I'll take our year-end numbers at the end of December, and our fiscal year starts in January 1. So like during January, I'm looking back at our last year's numbers, and basically, where do we want to grow? Where do we need to grow? Where can we cut expenses? What new events are we doing? What new revenue sources do we have? And just putting it together. I will work on it a little bit and then put it away and then come back. Because it starts to make my eyes go cross-eyed. But I'll probably spend, I don't know, maybe I would say 12 to 15 hours on it, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. I usually, I love the numbers, I guess, since I used to, do some bookkeeping. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I'm weird just because I like marketing and the idea stuff, and then I like numbers, because a lot of people don't have those qualities.
That's what I love about our jobs is we do a little bit of the budgeting, but we do a little bit of marketing, and we do a little bit of this and that and the other thing. So I enjoy the flexibility and
Oh,
variety
yeah.
in my day.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely.
If I had to work on a budget every day
Oh, yeah.
for 8 hours a day and nothing else, I wouldn't be here.
So I thought I wanted to be an accountant. So I'm in the second year of accounting, and I fell asleep in class. And the teacher goes, "Are you having problems at home?" And I go, "No."
I'm
And
having
he's like,
trouble in this class.
"Yeah, I suggest you find a new major." Okay, I'll go to marketing. It was just, yeah, doing that all. I just kind of couldn't even picture myself with that.
That's
like
tough.
It just was not. Oh my goodness, yeah, no. So yeah, poor teacher. He was so nice to me too, but it was just, I said, I know, I don't know what it is. It's fabulous. You're a great teacher. I just don't, care. So that was bad. So then with your budget, what's nice is then you can chunk it down. So as we said, by month, then by week, so that it's achievable. It doesn't seem like this huge number. And there's a success formula that, we found. It's behavior plus your activity equals results. So
That's pretty much right.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, because a lot of people just focus on the end result and not on the activity that people are doing and the behavior.
Or your
that's
behavior.
Going, yeah, because like I said, you have some people doing all the busy stuff, so they can say, "I am so busy," but then you're not getting the results. So then you have to look at what activities they're doing in order to try and achieve the results. And if it's not happening,
And how they're engaging those activities, like that's their
Right.
behavior, right? Like if you show up to networking events without business cards and without your name tag, and that's
yeah.
all behavioral stuff. I think
It
you're
is,
going to the
yes.
right events,
Right.
but
yes.
you're not going to get the results because you're not
Right.
approaching them in the correct way.
Or if you're sitting there waiting for everyone to come to you.
Right.
Right. Yeah. There was Bill Ellis. Everyone likes to quote him. And he goes, "You do the room once, you do it twice, and you go home."
Yeah.
So he was, kind of like those guys. And I was guilty of it last night. I didn't want to take my great big purse, took my little strappy thing, no business card. And I met a guy running for one of the seats. Thank goodness it wasn't in our district, but I have his card, so I'll reach out to him. But yeah, usually I even have in my wallet business cards just in case, because you never know. I had my name tag on, so, but I know we've all done that where, you've gotten your name tag and stuff, but you're right, being prepared and actually thinking about it. And I think that's one of the things that I'm guilty of is that, you have an event, you rush out the door, and then you get there and go, "Oh, I should have brought blah, blah, bling, blah, blah, and brought it." And it's like, yeah, but taking the time to prepare so that you're preparing for success will definitely work out, I think, to better results.
Yeah.
So talking about then those behaviors. So mindset is a lot of it. I think sometimes we get into a funk, and especially January can kind of be that way. I mean, because everyone's coming back from the holidays.
You just took 2 weeks off,
Yes.
and now you got to get back into the swing. And
it seems like, oh, here we go again. I don't know. I just sometimes find that January seems like, instead of everybody like, "Yay, it's a new year," it's kind of like, "Oh, it's January.
Here we go again."
Here we go again. Yeah. So, but kind of switching that mindset and, putting the actions into place to be successful can help shift your mindset, because all it takes is a couple successes and you want to keep duplicating it.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually said, "Oh, we need a bell here." It's like every time we get a new member, we're ringing the bell, because it was this was last month, we had 15 new members. How exciting was that? I mean, we were like, wow, we really do need a bell. This is great. So, but I think that energizes the team, and it seems like, because sometimes you feel like you work in a vacuum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when we can celebrate, I think that that does help the mindset and the motivation, and everybody kind of working together to support the mission. Because if you have people not understanding the mission and not believing in that mission, you can be a one-man band, but it is not going to be that productive, you know. So, yeah, you really want
It's
people
tough
buy
to
in.
drag people behind you.
Right?
It
Yes.
really is fatiguing.
Yes. It's, yeah, no, dragging anything is not good. So you want them up there with you. I think another thing they talk about different behaviors is adaptability. I have to say, I think we always say flexibility here, but man, we are forever changing what we do, how we do things. If there's a better way, we look at doing something new, because I think people get bored. I think technology is changing so fast now that you kind of want to make sure you're keeping up with things. And you want members to see, for us, like from my point of view, I want members to see that we are doing things and adding things for their benefit. I am not there to add another event for us to run. No. So, but if it's something that the members are, you know, wanting to engage in, that's what we're looking for. So we had a meeting this morning about our multicultural networking group and what that looks like, because I said, this is going to be 6 more events we're adding this year with this group. And the chamber can't, you know, be the ones running all of this stuff. It has to come from the members that they want it. And so it's a bit of a mind shift of that kind of engagement. So
events take a lot. I don't think people understand unless you run an event, but the amount of preparation and resources that go into running an event, and then it's all the after cleanup and
that's why you win the award for the nicest guy. You always, when you say, how can I help you, actually mean it.
Because I know what it takes to.
You do. You're awesome. Yeah, because we did, how can I help as they wander off? And
right.
We're like, yeah, okay, thanks. We get that a lot. I that's why with the luncheon, we'll go from Friday with 50 people signed up to Monday with 100. And it's like, we can't do that. You know, you have to get your totals in, because running events, the hotels have to know. They have to buy food. They're not buying food the morning of the event. They need to have it all prepared. And people don't think that all through. So when we ask people to try and register as far in advance as they can, if they want to participate, to let us know with things, that'll...
Oh, you mean communicate?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Well, we keep trying. Yes. I know that is one of the biggest challenges, I would have to say, is people, and I don't know if it's everywhere in this county, man. They are the worst.
Bad in Brevard.
Yeah, I think I always think it's because there's so many events. You're like, well, if something else comes up, maybe I'll do that instead. Like, really? That's, how supportive.
Yeah. Well, let's see what the weather's going to be like.
Right.
See what else is going on that day.
Yeah, if it's raining too hard, I do not want to drive all the way up to the port and get wet.
Right.
Yeah. So, but back to the employees and staff and our mindsets. I think being effective on your job means putting in those goalposts, like those setting your goals, having a network of resources, people that you do network with, that you reach out to, that become your support system. Because the more people know, like, and trust you, they refer you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're not going to, send, hey, that guy's great, and you have no idea. I mean, it's a reflection on you. I mean, people never trust you again if you're saying, yeah, they're awesome. And however, I mean, you can say that and they're awesome and something happens. I mean, life happens. And then being highly organized. I have tried every system known to man, and I am not highly organized. Pat is my go-to organization person, because, man, we all have our skill sets, right? And that has seriously not been one of mine. And so she pays the attention to the details. But knowing that makes it work.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
we kind of know, like Carolina has that. She's like really attention to detail. Pat is the same. They've got their checklists and stuff. I'm like, woo! And then, oh, let's get this done.
Well, you're the
know,
big picture person
so-
that comes up with the concepts and stuff, and then they probably really end up making it happen and
Yes.
the details.
Right.
But that's what a team is all about, right?
Absolutely.
Like
And
that's,
yes.
you don't want a team made up of all big picture thinkers because that's just not going to work.
Nothing will get done.
But if you had a whole team of just detail-oriented people, they'd probably kill each other. So you need a balance.
Yes, yeah. And then Cindy's the same. She sort of has some big ideas and, how we can change things. So I think everybody brings their different skill set. And
Yeah.
so I think what we need to do in the new year is that bank. It's Charlie Mace is kind of doing it. If you've ever done Myers-Briggs or the color, that color wheel, True Colors. There's a bunch of different ones, but they've got a new one, knowing people's personalities. Because we had, some challenges, but I think it's because if you're a green and need lots of details, and the other person is an A with their checklist and let's get things done, having to explain everything to a green and go over and then they still can't decide would drive you up the freaking wall. I mean, however, you have to realize that there's people in every one of these. I always go with True Colors because that's kind of the one I know. You've got the blue that they want to talk to the kids, the pets, whatever. I'm really bad at that. But I know that. I know that's not, right. And I try and remember things, but, I've called people the wrong name. I mean,
I'm Keith.
Where's your name tag? I told you, dude, you need a name tag. But that's kind of one of my weaknesses.
Yeah.
So having somebody on board who's going to meet that need though is great.
Yeah.
And then with the True Colors, it's the orange, the green, the blue, and the yellow. So yellow are kind of task people, green are the questioners, orange are like, woohoo, let's have a great time. And then you've got the blue, the kids, the family, the dog. So we have a mix of all of that. It's not as if you're just one, you have all of that as personality types, but knowing that is what will make an organization effective. Because you don't want to be giving the, hey, you have to go meet people if they're, the gold and just want the task. They don't want to be sitting there chit-chatting about your dog and kids. It's like, give me the facts and I'm going, So that's what you have to be cognizant of is that, oh my goodness, we're at 2:57?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I was thinking, oh man, how are we going to fill an hour? I was thinking that today. I was saying, oh yeah, we just did it. So, okay, so activities then for your sales and being productive then is setting your benchmarks for the activities that you're doing. So, and being accountable to yourself. And your company. So when you go out to an event, you have what you are wanting to achieve at that event. You said that fellow wanted to meet 20 new people a week. So if he went to a networking thing, he might think, okay, tomorrow's Friday, man, I need to meet 3 people at this to get my quota.
Yep.
So knowing what your benchmarks are, knowing your closing, how much revenue to sales that you need in order to meet your budget. So we kind of got off on a different kind of track today, but we wanted you to really start planning. Now is the time when the year is winding up. Look at what your year was, where you want to move, and if it wasn't as successful as you were hoping, what changes you need to make and put in place.
Yeah, this is a good way to jumpstart the new year.
Absolutely.
Put all of these plans into place now so that you can hit the ground running in January.
Absolutely. Yeah, because they say you should be spending more time on planning and organization. And a lot of people, just don't make that time. They don't make that time and then wonder why they're not being successful. And it seems like you're wasting your time, but you need to know what your benchmarks are. You need to know what your plan is, because what was that? If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.
Right.
So, that's it, so you want to put your plan in place. And so join us then for our next Chamber Chat, January 21st. Keith and Diane are going to, Diane Bryson are going to be talking about your elevator pitch, and how to tweak that, what makes a successful one, one that people remember. There's still some people that, and I won't rhyme them off here, but there's still some that I remember that people use that just, some of them make you laugh, so you kind of remember them. Other ones are just like, I can't believe you said that. And then I have told a story about a guy who was such a nice man, but I knew him for 5 years and did not know what he sold and did not know what his company did. And I'm thinking, that is not a good pitch if I don't know after all that time what you do. So, so join us January 21st. And if you need us, go to the Chamber website, go to our Facebook page, call us. The Greater Palm Bay Chamber is really here for everybody. And our mission is to serve, advocate, and promote as a trusted voice for our business community. And we hope we have served you well this year. We look forward to serving you in 2020. We hope everybody has a fabulous holiday.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the new year. So we will say goodbye. Bye, Diane. Mm-hmm.